In this video, I'll be unboxing the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller. Now, in my city where I live, the Switch Pro Controller is virtually sold out everywhere. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to stop by this one GameStop and they had two Switch Pro Controllers in stock. What's the luck that I would actually run across the Switch Pro Controller, but luckily I was able to pick one up. Now, I don't know everywhere if they're sold out completely, so check your city's availability, but they are very hard to find as of the date of this recording. They are very hard to find. Now, you may have seen on my channel, I did do a video called Nintendo Switch Accessories video where I sold some Nintendo Switch accessories. And in that video, I did have the Joy-Con charging grip, and I did actually return that grip a couple weeks ago and got a refund for it. Because honestly, in my opinion, if you can only buy the Joy-Con charging grip or the Pro Controller, I would definitely recommend buying the Pro Controller over the Joy-Con charging grip, because the Joy-Cons alone last 20 hours, and with the 20-hour batteries the Joy-Cons have, it'll last you days on days on days before you need a recharge. Plus, after you're done using the Joy-Cons, you can just snap them on the sides of the Switch and they will start recharging after each play session. So there's really no need to spend $30 and buy the Joy-Con charging grip. Just spend that $30 and put it towards the Switch Pro Controller. Now, I will be talking about some of the things the Pro Controller has built into it. Now, first of all, it has every single button that the Joy-Cons have. So everything the Joy-Cons can do, this can do. Maybe outside of the right Joy-Con having that camera. So I don't think this does have the camera that the right Joy-Con has, unfortunately. So if you're playing some kind of motion control game, maybe 1-2 Switch or something like that, you may not be able to use the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller, most likely. It does have HD Rumble. It does have Amiibo support, so you can use your Amiibos. You just plop the Amiibos on the center pad and they'll scan your Amiibo, so it does work with the Amiibos. Also, it does have gyro support, so if a game does have gyros capabilities, this does work with gyros because it does have a gyro built in to the controller. Now, this controller at retail will cost you a $70 flat. Now, that is $10 more than your standard Xbox One PS4 controller, outside of the Xbox One Elite controller, which I think runs $140, $150, but for a standard controller, it is going to be the most expensive controller you can currently buy on the market in terms of a regular controller outside of the Xbox Elite controller, Xbox One Elite controller. Now, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and unbox this controller. I will not be doing a comparison between other controllers in this video. I will probably be making another video in the future where I go ahead and compare this controller to other controllers currently or previously been on the market. So I will be doing a video on that. Now, here's what the box looks like, and honestly, I really do love the design of the Switch Pro Controller. And also, this is my first time holding a Switch Pro Controller. I have never held a Switch Pro Controller in my hand, so this will be my first time on video. Flipping it to the back, it does say that it will charge on the dock. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to read more information on that. It looks like it can be charged on the dock. I'm not quite sure if you can use the included AC adapter with the Switch to charge this, or you can use a separate USB wall charger like from your phone or a tablet. I'm not sure on that, but it will charge on the dock itself. And there's pretty much the whole packaging. On the side, it just shows more of the Switch Pro Controller. On the other side, just shows more Switch Pro Controller. Now, I already cut the tape on this box just so I can make the unboxing a little bit faster. So in this box, there should be two things. There should be a Switch Pro Controller, and there should be a USB cable to charge it. And yes, indeed, there is a USB cable to charge it. The USB cable looks like it is, yes, a USB Type-C cable. So kudos to Nintendo for making all the Nintendo Switch accessories USB Type-C across the board. So it looks like there shouldn't be any problem when using your Switch. They're all USB Type-C accessories across the board, which is very nice of Nintendo for going flat out USB Type-C. And this should be the controller right here. And yes, this is the controller right here. And honestly, just by picking it up, it doesn't feel too heavy at all. It feels actually quite light. Not the lightest controller I've ever felt, but it definitely feels pretty lightweight. It feels pretty, it does have a pretty good weight to it. Now let's go ahead and take this out. And here is the Switch Pro controller. Now let me go ahead and feel it in the hand. Honestly, right now, I can safely say this is a very good feeling controller in the hand. Also, if you're not aware, I've been hearing things on the internet like some people have been claiming, I know this is a very bold statement, but some people have been claiming that this is like one of their favorite controllers of all time. And really, I haven't really heard any bad complaints about this controller on the internet. Most people have been saying it is well worth the $70. And honestly, by feeling this controller in the hand, I can really see where people are saying this could be the best controller ever made. This thing does flat out feel fantastic. And this thing has a smoky, transparent look to it, which I am a fan of. And it does have grips on the side that are grips, so when you're holding it, it shouldn't slip out of your hand. On the top, it does have that USB Type-C port on it, so you can charge it right there. That's where you're going to charge it right there. And here's your standard layout. One thing to take note about this controller is the buttons are very, very big on this controller. I would honestly say this might have the biggest buttons of any controller ever made, but don't take my word for that because I'm not 100% sure about that. But these buttons are very, very big, and honestly, I am loving the buttons of how big they are. Overall, this feels very, very nice. And it does have, like I said, a very nice weight to the controller itself. Even though I'm not going to compare this to some other controllers, I am going to talk about some other controllers a little bit in this video. Now this is the Switch Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip, and honestly, I've had no problems with this. I played Zelda about 30 hours now, and I must say I've never found it to be a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of people have said that your hands are too close together, they get cramped and everything like that, but honestly, I found no problem with this thing at all when playing it. But I will say something about the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip, or the Joy-Cons itself. One thing I do not like about the Joy-Cons is the fact that when you flip it over on the back to where the bumpers are, the L and R bumpers, in my opinion, are just a little bit too thin for my taste. I wish those buttons were a little bit thicker. You can see right there, there's some extra space right there. I don't know if there's enough space in the casing to where they could have made them a little bit thicker, but I wish the bumpers on the back of this controller, the front bumpers, were a little bit thicker. Honestly, I don't like the way they feel, but overall, I could definitely get away with playing Zelda or any game with this Joy-Con grip in this configuration. Honestly, I've had no problems with it. Just wanted to point that out, even though I said I wasn't going to be comparing it. I just wanted to explain that real quick. Also, one thing also is the Wii U Pro controller, and one thing about this controller is it does feel light, it does feel plasticky, it does feel cheap, honestly. And one thing I don't like about this controller is that it does show a lot of fingerprints. It gets gunky, it gets nasty. You can see they really went with a glossy finish on this controller. The back is a matte finish, but the front part where you're mostly seeing is going to be a glossy material. I am really glad with the Pro controller that Nintendo decided to make it a glossy finish mostly, so you shouldn't have any problem with scratches, gunk, fingerprints, anything like that when you are using the Switch Pro controller. One thing I've had problems with this controller is the fact that when I'm playing Smash, and yes, I do play Smash Brothers with the Wii U Pro controller. Yes, I know I am a savage for doing that because most people like the GameCube controller when it comes to competitive Smash, but for me, I really do like the Wii U Pro controller a lot to where I didn't really have a problem with it. It felt nice in the hands and everything. One thing I have a problem with is when I'm playing Smash for 4 or 5 hours at a time, the back where I put my right hand right here, when I'm gripping it right here, it does start to, I do start to feel fatigue on my right fingers or right here when I am gripping it right there. I don't know if that's just me or whatnot, but I do start to feel fatigue with this controller. Overall, I can say that the Switch Pro Controller definitely beats out the Wii U Pro Controller altogether at this very moment. Am I a person that's going to say the Switch Pro Controller is the best controller ever made to mankind on the planet Earth? No, I am not going to say that. But right now, honestly, I am really loving this controller a lot. Now, of course, I will need more time to actually put this through the paces to play long sessions on the Switch to see how well it's going to be comfortable in the hands and things like that. I will be making an update video to this, so you will know how I feel about the controller in a week or two. I will be doing an update. By then I would have had already a lot of playtime with this controller, and I'll tell you how it feels and everything like that. And that's pretty much it for the Switch Pro controller. So far, I am loving it at first sight. It does feel really nice in the hands. I love how wide your hands are apart when you're actually using this. Honestly, even though I am a big fan of the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip, I can definitely say this will be replacing the Joy-Cons and the Joy-Con grip for me when I'm playing my Switch, definitely, for sure. And also, do not forget, a comparison between different controllers is going to be coming down in the future. I will be making a video on that. One thing I actually don't like about this controller, which I wish Nintendo would have done, but obviously they didn't do this, or maybe you're not aware of it, but one thing they didn't do is, I forgot to mention, on the bottom you do have LED indicator to indicate what player you are. So from 1 to 4, it does indicate what player you are. But one thing Nintendo did not put on this controller, they did not put a 3.5mm jack on the bottom of the device or anywhere on the device, so you can use headphones with this Pro controller. If Nintendo would have put in a 3.5mm headphone jack on this controller, then it would almost be like the perfect controller to me, at least at this very moment. Can't say for sure again, but right now, that's one feature I wish that was on the controller that's not on the controller currently. And I'm not sure if I actually mentioned this before, but this controller does get 40 hours of battery compared to the Joy-Cons, which only get 20 hours of battery. So this thing definitely gets more battery than the Joy-Cons. So you shouldn't have any problems playing your Switch for hours and hours and hours and hours with the Pro controller. The battery is definitely solid on the controller itself. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.